talking about polygons. So our learning target today is I can identify types of polygons. Please write down the date you're watching this and then write what you already know. Maybe you already know what a polygon is or you've heard the word polygon before, you know something about it. So write what you do know there. Then we have a lot of vocabulary today. So please start writing this. You may need to pause the video a few times. There is a lot of vocabulary. The vocabulary of this unit is the most important part of this unit. It is incredibly, incredibly important that you have the vocabulary and that you write it down and have it with you because you will need it for your test and for your quizzes and for everything else. So first we have a quadrilateral. A quadrilateral is just a geometric figure or a shape that has four sides. Next is trapezoid. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides. So in here, I'm going to draw a little picture of what that might look like. A trapezoid has one pair of parallel sides, and the other sides can really do whatever they want. So this pair there, those are parallel, and then the other sides can go whatever direction they want to go. And that is called a trapezoid. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral with two pairs of parallel sides. So what's different than a trapezoid is when we have a parallelogram, all of the sides have to be parallel to each other. So the top and bottom are parallel to each other, and then the sides are parallel to each other. And we know that because of those little arrows. So the arrows here and here show that those two are parallel. And then these and these show that those are parallel to each other. So a parallelogram has two pairs. Remember that while you're taking all of these vocab notes, anytime you need to pause the video so you can get the whole word written down, please do that. The vocabulary is extremely important today. Next we have a rectangle. A rectangle is a parallelogram with four right angles. So we've all seen rectangle before, but what's really important here is that rectangles are parallelograms. So they have four right angles in the corners, but also the top and the bottom are parallel, and the sides are parallel to each other. And that's what's a rectangle. Next is a rhombus. A rhombus is a parallelogram with four congruent sides. So for a rhombus, the length of any one side is the same as the length of the other sides. All of these sides have to be the same length. That's what those little lines mean. Now, a rhombus can be tilted. It's kind of like a tilted sideways square. So all of the sides are the same length, and then it's a little bit tilted to the side. A square, then, is a rhombus, it's a rectangle, and it's a parallelogram. And it can be all of those things because it has four right angles and four congruent sides. So it's a rhombus because all of the sides are the same. It's a rectangle because it has four congruent angles. And then it's also a parallelogram because the top and bottom are parallel to each other and the sides are parallel to each other. Next is polygon. A polygon is a geometric figure made up of three or more line segments that intersect at their endpoints. Basically, it is a shape with three or more sides that are all straight lines. And that's what's really important. It needs to have all straight lines and not intersect in the middle. And in a moment here, we're going to go over some examples of what is and is not a polygon. A regular polygon is a polygon with all congruent sides and all congruent angles. So I'll show you what that means. If I had a regular triangle is a triangle where all three sides are the same length and all three angles are the same measure. A square is an example of a regular quadrilateral. It has all four angles are the same and all four sides are the same. But we can have a regular anything. A regular pentagon would have five sides that are all the same and five angles that are all the same. And we know that they're all the same because of these little curves. So the little curves tell us that the angles are the same, and the lines tell us that the lines are all the same. So when you're looking to see if something's regular, you're looking for the little curves in the corners, and you're looking for the lines on the sides to show you that they're the same. Next is a diagonal. A diagonal is a segment other than a side that connects two corners of a polygon. So for an example, let's say that I had a big hexagon that looks like this. It's my big hexagon. A diagonal is a point that connects two sides of that is not a side. So for example, if I started at this corner right here, my diagonal go to every corner that they're already connected to by a side that they're not already connected to. So it would go to that point, but it wouldn't go along there because that's already a side. But it would also go to this point and to that point. That's three diagonals. Now I can draw diagonals from any of the points, and we would just all of the points that are not already connected. And that's a lot of diagonals. But a diagonal is just any line that goes through the center of a shape from one corner to another. So again, please pause, make sure you have all of things written down. I know it is a lot, but again, if you have it written down, you're going to use this on your quiz and use it on your tests. Okay? When you're ready, continue down here and we will continue taking notes. So the first thing we need to be able to do is classify polygons. And there are a lot of types of polygons, and we classify them by the number of sides that they have. So for example, a triangle has three sides, and it is any shape with three sides. A quadrilateral has four sides. That's the ones that we were talking about up above. But any quadrilateral, even if it doesn't really fit in any of those descriptions, this shape here isn't a trapezoid or a parallelogram or a square or anything. It's just a random quadrilateral, but it is still a quadrilateral. A pentagon has five sides. A pentagon is any shape with five sides. So even if it's a crazy looking shape, as long as it has five sides, it is a pentagon. And these should all be straight lines. It's just a little hard to do on the iPad. A hexagon has six sides. That's like our shape that we drew up above. Again, partly for things that aren't perfectly straight. So a hexagon has six sides. A heptagon, a P, that has seven sides. And the way we often draw that is by drawing the top like a little house, then drawing two sides down, then two little diagonals, and then a bottom. And that's how we often draw a heptagon, which has seven sides. And then we have an octagon, which is the name of a shape that has eight sides. Octagons are also the shape of a stop sign. So here's our octagon. Okay? After octagon, we could keep going. We'd have a nonagon, a decagon, a dodecagon, all of these things. But in math, naming everything starts to become a little problematic. So instead, after the octagon, we start to say things like a ninegon. A ninegon has nine sides. We could say a tengon or a thousandgon. But anytime that we are talking about a shape bigger than an octagon, we also often just call it something like a 26gon. That's a 26-sided figure instead of trying to remember a zillion words that mean all of these things. Okay? The next thing we need to be able to do is determine if a figure is a polygon. So the definition of a polygon that we got up above is that it is a geometric figure made up of 3 or more line segments that intersect at their endpoints. So for example, this shape here, this is not a polygon. It is not a polygon because it's not closed at the bottom. There's an open side. It's also only made up of 2 line segments. Another example, this shape here. This is not a polygon because it is round. There is a rounded curve, so it is not a polygon. However, a shape like this is a polygon. It's all straight lines that intersect at their corners. And we can name it by counting the sides. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. This is a pentagon. So even though it's a funny looking pentagon, it is still a pentagon. An oval is not a polygon, or a circle. They're not polygons because they are round edges. But a crazy looking shape like a star, again, pardon me for the lines not being perfectly straight. This crazy looking star shape, this is a polygon because it is all straight sides. And if I count them, this is an octagon. Another example that is not a polygon would be a shape that intersects in the middle. So this shape, it's closed, it meets at endpoints, but because it kind of crosses itself in the middle there, this is not a polygon because it intersects in the middle. So this is the difference between what is a polygon and what is not a polygon. All of the things that we talked about up here are polygons. They're types of polygons. It is not a polygon if it has roundness, such as here, if it intersects, or if it is open. So the last thing we need to be able to tell is if a polygon is regular. A regular polygon, checking the definition up here, is a polygon with all congruent sides and all congruent angles. So for example, if I had a hexagon that looks like this, and I had these little lines on all the sides, and then these little curves in all the corners, that tells me that all of the angles are the same and all of the side lengths are the same. That means that this is a regular polygon. However, if I look at this shape here, I can clearly see that even though this side and this side are the same length, they're not the same length as these sides. I can also see that this angle right here is obtuse and this angle right here is acute. That means that they are not the same angle measure. So this is not a regular polygon. It is a parallelogram, but it is not regular. Another example would be looking at a rhombus. On a rhombus, we know that the sides are all the same length. The question would be, are all the angles the same? Looking at this, I see that these corners are both acute angles. But I also say that these two angles are obtuse. That means the four angles cannot all be the same. So this is not a regular rhombus. A regular shape, such as this triangle, has three sides that are the same and three corners are the same. All of the sides are the same length. All of the corners are the same. It's not enough for just two of them to be like in that rhombus. So this was a lot of vocabulary today. Our next lesson will be more calculations, and this is a lot of vocabulary. Please let me know if you have any questions or need any help with anything, and have a great day.